Okay? So tomorrow we'll continue our review, but for now, we are going to start with problem number 35. So we're going to start with number 35. This is a no calculator question. The line under number 40, is the delineation for the calculator part. So number 35 is still in the no calculator part. And between today and tomorrow, I'm going to try to get through every problem with you. But in case I don't, I'm starting here because everything else is already videoed. So if I don't get to it, you can watch it. Okay, so this says find the angle. Right? That notation means an angle. So what do I know about this angle? What do I know about this angle? Its sine is 1/2, which means this is 1 and this is 2. Right? Opposite over hypotenuse. Now I can do the Pythagorean Theorem, or I can just recognize, look, that's a 1, that's a 2. This one must be a √3. But you can do the Pythagorean Theorem if you don't trust your memory or if you just don't know. Without a calculator, you should be able to tell me how big this angle is right here. It's 30 degrees. Because in a 30, 60, 90, across from the 30 is the 1. So that's a 30-degree angle. All right, 37. This is an easy one if you remember the rule. 3 CIS 50 times 2 CIS 20. Now we are multiplying these two numbers together. Do you remember the rule? Should be a snap of a finger. What's the rule?
We multiply the 3 and the 2 and then we add the 5.
Exactly. So you multiply the R's. This is R CIS theta. So we multiply the R's, 6, and we add the angles, 70. Now this is the kind of problem where sometimes this ends up too big. Do you remember that? Sometimes we added it and got like 400. So then we subtract 360 if it's too big. Thomas? I'm doing that on purpose. The problems are in pairs. And so I'm doing all of the odds. That will cover everything. And then if we have time, we'll do all the evens. I'm for sure doing the evens tomorrow night. But whatever we have time in class. But we're hitting every problem type. They're in pairs. So the odds are one practice exam. The evens are another practice exam. Okay? Maybe I didn't explain that before. Sorry. Okay, 39. I'm changing the last word. 39 is going to be, how many ways can 8 people be seated in a line? How many ways can 8 people be seated in a line? So please change the last word of number 39 because we didn't talk about circles. Circles are different. We talked about lines though. 8 people in a line would be 8 factorial, which is 40,320.
That will be on my calculator part, right?
That will be on the calculator part unless it's in the multiple choice and one of the answers is 8 factorial.
Okay.
Because if one of the answers is 8 factorial, you don't need a calculator for that, right? Okay, number 41. We definitely need a calculator for number 41. 41 says, find side B, which would be right here. So this is what you're finding. Now, we took a test over this. You had to find the whole thing. You had to find everything. Well, we're not doing that. Now we are just finding side B. All right, this was January. Dig back into that memory. What did we do back then to find pieces of a triangle? Okay, well first you can find this angle quite easily, right? Okay, so hang on, Olivia, you're exactly right. Let's find this angle first. What is that? Is that 25? Did I do that arithmetic right? We know the angles of a triangle add up to 180. So if I know two of them, I can find that third one. All right, now Olivia's over there talking about setting up a proportion. Does everybody remember the law of sines? When you have this pair right here, this should be sounding very familiar. When you have this pair right here, you can say sine 25 over 6.1 equals sine 73 over b. That's called the law of sines, and we use the law of sines when we have a pair. So now we'll cross multiply b sine 25 equals 6.1 sine 73. And then we'll divide. So b equals that. I don't know what your calculator's going to be. Make sure your calculator's in degrees. It might be in degrees. So 6.1 sine 73. What did you say, Olivia?
13.8.
Yep. So 13.8. Now, when you type this in on your calculator, you haven't done this in a while, be very careful. As soon as you hit sine, it's going to throw up a parentheses, right? After 73, make sure you close that parentheses. Otherwise, you won't get the right answer. Close your parentheses. All right, that was 41. Now we're doing 43.
Law of Cosines.
So Olivia's over there talking again, and she says that we need the law of cosines. As usual, she's right. How do we know we need the law of cosines?
We have all three sides.
We don't have a pair, right? If you're going to do the law of sines, you have to have this. We don't have that here, because we know no angles. So this is going to be the law of cosines. And it tells me I want angle C. It tells me that's the one I want. So when I set up the law of cosines, whatever angle I want, that side is over here by itself. Remember how that works? It's 16 squared equals 20 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times 20 times 18 times cosine C. We forgot our law of cosines.
Maybe.
Probably better go back and check that out. Y'all knew it at one point. You found it pretty easy. The angle I want's on that end. Its side is on this end. Remember that? And then in the middle goes 20 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times 20 times 18. Now, this is the kind that's a little bit more of a challenge to type in. So, take your time. I will tell you, I don't know if you remember the first semester exam, but the first semester exam wasn't that long. It wasn't like you were rushing to get it done. You had plenty of time. This one is the same. You're going to have plenty of time. So I would take my time and write all this stuff out. Because when we do stuff quickly, that's when we sometimes make mistakes that we know better. So this is what I got so far. I just squared everything and multiplied it together. Is that all right with everybody? Okay, now clearly these two can be added together. So I have 256 equals 724 minus 720 cosine.
Yeah.
Now this is where you might make a dumb mistake. You might try to subtract these. You can't, because this one has a cosine. So instead, you're going to move this over to here. So 256 minus 724. So we have negative 468 equals negative 720. And then we divide. Now that's not the answer. How do I get the answer? Second cosine, that's exactly right. So now I have to second cosine, because I have to find the angle. So I'm going to second cosine this, and I got 49.5 as my angle. What? Someone saying something? Okay. All right, that was 43. Now we're going to 47. Ay, 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 ay. Oh boy, I have to find the coefficient of the x to the fourth, y to the sixth term. This is what we just did. Well, you did something like this on the quiz you just took. What do you think? What are we going to do?
Expansion.
We're going to do expansion. Now, the good news is we're not going to have to do the entire expansion. The bad news is we are going to have to write out a bunch of the triangle. I'm going to make myself some room here. Here we go. So I have my 1 and my 1. Are you working along with me? I don't think we've ever taken it this far before. Don't let me make a mistake. Have you noticed the symmetry that both sides of the triangle are the same? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
So that can be a help.
If you see one side, you can just copy it over.
Exactly, that's right. So here I am, I'm finally done. You have a calculator, remember, so you can use a calculator.
We don't have any to go this time.
I hope I'm adding right. Okay, so there it is. Now in a minute, I'm going to give you a little bit of a shortcut here that you can take or leave. Sometimes it's more confusing, but I'm going to give you a little shortcut. But this is, I think I added right, this is the 10th row of the triangle. And why did I go to the 10th row? Because it's to the 10th power. Yeah, so the power tells me what row to go to, right? Now, I am not going to do this whole expansion. I don't need to. The problem is focused on one term. It wants the term that has the x to the fourth and the y to the sixth in it. So, if you were to write out all these numbers, next to here would be an x, right? And what would be the power on that x? 10? And then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Isn't this the coefficient that would have the x to the fourth attached to it?
5, 6.
Or you could go the other way and do the y's. You want y to the 6, so here the y would be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So either way, that's the coefficient you're looking for. So the answer to the question is 210. It says, what is the coefficient? It's 210. All right? Now, some of you may have been wondering how this problem fits into this unit. I gave you a little bit of a hint the other day talking about probability, but these numbers right here, this row of numbers right here, the 10th row, this is 10C10. If you type in your calculator 10C10, it will say 1. This is 10C9, 10C8, 10C7, and all the way down to 10C0. So you can get these numbers by building Pascal's triangle. You can also get these numbers by doing the combination numbers, the C numbers. So in the 8th row, this would be 8C8, 8C7, 8C6, 8C5, and so on. In the 5th row, 5C5, 5C4, and so on down the line. So that's another way you can get those numbers if you want to do it that way. But again, let's stick with what makes sense to you and what you know. Time is not a factor. You're going to have plenty of time. But anyhow, 210 is the answer. Okay? While I have the triangle up here, let's go ahead and do number 48. I want the coefficient of the x to the 4th y, x to the 4th y cubed. So I am in the 7th row now. I'm in this row of numbers, right? And I want the x to the 4th one. So here, this would be x to the 7th,
35.
x to the 6th, x to the 5th, x to the 4th. That's the one I want. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, now I'm going to erase it. And we're going to move on to the next problem. And the next one is, that was 49. Find the number of ways that 10 people can be seated if only 8 chairs are available. Okay, now you can do this a couple of different ways. Personally, I'm going to do it as a 10C8 or a 10P8. This is a P problem. Why is it a P problem? Because we are seating people in a row of chairs. And when you seat them in a row of chairs, it is different if Chloe's sitting there and Taylor's sitting there, or vice versa. They're the same 2 kids, but that's a different row. It's a different arrangement. But
So are you saying it's like more specific than just seating kids down?
no, we're seating them down, but when we sit you down, let's say here are the open chairs, okay? And you guys are all out in the hall, and I want to start filling up the seats. So I go out in the hall and I grab somebody, okay? And I put him or her down right there. Then now I've got one less choice. I go out there and I put the next person here. So if there's 10 kids out there, I have 10 choices for that first line, but now I have 9 times 8 times 7 times 6. That's a P. That's a P problem. Okay? It didn't say how many kids can I bring into the room, because if I'm just bringing them into the room, then the order doesn't matter. If I am seating them in a specific chair, that's like president, vice president, secretary, then it's a P.
Okay.
They're sitting in a specific spot and rearranging them in a specific spot. So this would be one option, and then the other option would just be to do this. I have 8 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this would be the other option. You could actually draw it out if you wanted to. Both of these will give you the same answer. All right, 51. Find the height of a tree. Here's the tree. And a worm is on the ground, 37 feet from the base of the tree. And the angle of elevation is 32 degrees to the top of the tree, and I'm finding the height of the tree. Okay, is that jogging some memory? Where do we always put our angles of elevation and depression? Right here. That's where they go, every time. Here's the tree, that's a right angle. We're assuming the tree's standing straight up. Write me an equation. Sine, cosine, or tangent. That's going to be a tangent. We know it's going to be tangent because this is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of 32 equals opposite over adjacent. To solve that, what are we going to do? Multiply by 37, is that what you said, I hope? So we just type that in on our calculator, and that will be the answer. 37 tangent 32. So I got 23.1 feet. Sunshine. We all should get this one, right? How many ways can we rearrange the letters of the word sunshine?
8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of them, so it's 8 factorial. 2 S's. 2 N's. Is that it?
Yes.
And when we type it in our calculator, we gotta make sure that's in parentheses. So hopefully we got this right on our quiz. You had one like that on your quiz. Uh, 10,080? Or, yeah, 10,080? Is that what you got? Now, I hope you're putting little marks next to the ones you need to study. Extra up. Magnus! Okay, number 55. This is the test you just took. We're going to find the foci of this ellipse. Now, in order to find the foci, we have to do a little bit of preliminary work here. But this isn't like your test where you had to fill in all those blanks. You're only figuring out what the foci are, and that is it. So, where do I start?
-2, 3.
Negative 2, 3. That's your center. Negative 2, 3. So that's the beginning of everything.
Side to side 4.
So I'm going to go side to side 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up and down 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And here is my ellipse. Now, I am not going to waste time figuring out these points. I certainly could, but they're not the foci. They're the vertices, and I don't need those. But if you want to figure them out, that's fine. What you need to know is this is the long axis. That is the major axis because I went sideways 4 and up and down only 3, right? So the foci are somewhere on here. They're always on the longer axis. Now, I could tell you exactly what that point was if I knew that distance. Because I'm going to start at -2, and I'm going to add that distance, right? I just need to know what that distance is.
You do the square root of
The denominator.
-9.
So the center to the focus is the square root of 16 minus 9. Remember, we do the opposite of that. So that's root 7.
Yep.
So I'm going to start right here at -2, and I'm going to add root 7, and then comma 3. And then what's this one going to be? -2, that -2 right there, -2 minus root 7, comma 3. And that goes in the answer blank. The blue points are the foci. All right. Look at the next one's a two-parter. Remember, what do the questions on the exam look like? Exactly what these look like, right? Okay. So what are we finding here? Two things. We're finding side A, and we're finding the area of the triangle. Now, the area of the triangle is the easy part of this, because we have a formula for area that says 1/2 side times sine of included angle. So 1/2 side, sine. You don't have to, there's no work to do. That's just it. That's going to be it. So 1/2 times 16 times 18 times sine 42. I got 96.4 square whatevers for my area. Is that vaguely familiar? Please tell me it sounds familiar. Now we still have to find side A. So this is like the one we looked at earlier where we had to find a side. You ask yourself this question: am I going to use law of sines or law of cosines? That's how we do it. It's got to be cosines because we don't have a set, right? So the law of cosines, if I'm going to use this angle, cosine 42 is on this end, and a squared is on this end. Remember, when you're doing the law of cosines, the angle goes on one end, and the side opposite that angle goes on the other end. Now, what goes in the middle? 16 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times 16 times 18 times cosine 42. Right?
Yep.
Now we type it in. This one you can type in all in one piece. You don't have to, but this one, because the variable's over here by itself already, you just type all that in. I do have one caution for you. Let me get caught up here. After I get that all typed in and hit equals, I have 151. I gotta square root it because the law of cosines gives you a squared. You need a, so the answer is 12.3 inches, feet, whatever it happens to be. Okay? All right, so that was question 57. All right, 59. Oh, 59 and 61 are the big ones, so we don't have time to get that done. So we will do 59 and 61 tomorrow. You'll have to remind me because all the classes are in different spots. You'll have to remind me. Have a good day. Come back tomorrow. Last chance. Bring your food if you want.